Hey there, welcome back to my channel. So happy to have you here. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe and like this video. Give it a thumbs up as I pour my heart out. I'm being vulnerable. I'm telling you all of my business. But, I just feel like I need to let it all out and expose to you who I really am and what I've been through, because as chosen ones, we go through some really traumatic experiences, and I just want to share with you and let you know that I'm not alone. So this may be part 6 or part 7. But yeah, I'm laying up in the hospital. He comes through, my machine starts going beep, 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 beep. My friends and my family, not my friends, all my family's there. My sisters are there, my kids are there, and I'm just terrified. He comes and he kisses me on my cheek, and I'm just like, ugh, who told him to come here? I had a feeling he was gonna come. I wasn't sure, but he did. I was not happy. He stayed at my house while I was in the hospital. This is what the kids told me. He had sleeping in my bed. Like, he just did not take the fact that we were over seriously. I guess because I was entertaining him, like, talking to him on the phone and things like that. But in my mind, I wasn't coming back to him. I just couldn't. I couldn't go back to what I went through with him. So thank God, eventually I get out the hospital like 12 days later. I'm home, and yeah, so I'm talking to him. I'm behind on my rent by this point because before I was already declining in my business. Now I'm in the hospital for almost 2 weeks, and no business is going. Nothing. No money's coming in. Nothing. So I talked to him. I'm like, listen, I'm behind on my rent. You have to help me out. So he lies to me, tell me he's gonna have me pay my rent. Never did. Never paid the landlord a dime. Nothing. Nothing. So now I'm faced with, I may have to leave this apartment. I may have to leave my condo in Florida. What am I gonna do? Right? So I'm just like, what to do? What am I gonna do? And he's just like, well, you need to come back. You need to come home. I'm like, I don't want to go back there. I felt so stuck. And I'm just like, I can't go back there. I can't. I'm going to be stuck for the rest of my life. But guess who's out of prison? Yeah. First husband is out of prison. I get a call from his friend telling me, so-and-so's out of prison. He wants to talk to you. He's been out for like over a year by this point. But I ran into this friend like a year prior before I left New York. And he told me, yeah, he's out of prison. He wants to talk to you. I'm like, oh, no, he doesn't. He's probably mad at me. I left him in prison, just told him I want a divorce. I'm never coming back. He's like, no, he changed. He doesn't want to. He's not mad at you anymore. He's not mad at you. He's a changed guy. Da, 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 da. I'm like, no, I don't want to open up the can of worms, right? So this was back before I left New York. I was like, no, I don't want to talk to him. Like, he was another one. Like, it wasn't a good relationship. It was, like I said, controlling. He was older. It was just, he was nice, but it was a lot of things that, it was toxic. It was a toxic relationship as well. So, but by now, I'm in Florida, just out the hospital, no money, no nothing. Torn. My landlord's on my back. I'm faced with the reality that I'm gonna have to leave this apartment. What am I gonna do? I have no money, no income, no job, no nothing. So I started looking for jobs, but I'm still not like 100%. I'm weak. I'm on medication. I had never been on medication before in my life. I'm on blood pressure medication now to lower my blood pressure. I'm just like not feeling how I used to feel, well, before I got sick. I feel better than that, but I used to be very vibrant, very, and now I'm not. I'm just feeling like just want to sleep and lay around, and I can't even do my business. I don't have that energy anymore. So, and then my daughter calls me, my oldest daughter, and she's like, you know who I ran into? And I'm like, who? And she says his name, my ex-husband. I'm just like, what? She's like, yeah, we went out. He took me out to lunch. Da da da. Mommy, you need to call him. I'm like, what? So me thinking, again, I'm into tarot cards, I'm into the crystals and everything, and I'm like, well, maybe this is a sign, maybe this is a sign. Maybe he can help me. He helped me before, he helped me get my apartment. I'm just like, and then she was, and all this was like, my daughter's like, and he has money. I was like, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to be with nobody for money. Like that's just not me. It has to be something there. And I remember, I'm just not gonna be with you for money. But at this point in my life, I'm just like at my lowest. I've never been so low, I feel. I'm recovering from a sickness and I have no money. So I text him. And he's like, is this Danielle, my baby Danielle? And I'm just like, yeah, right? So then we start talking, and he's just like, he's sorry for everything he did back then. It literally brought tears to my eyes. Like he did things to me that I didn't even know he did. He was apologizing for it. I'm like, wow, this is what you did to me? Like, I didn't know. I was just so naive and young, and like, I didn't know. And yeah, he was like, yeah, I heard you was married, da, 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not working out. I'm in Florida. And I was like, and then he was like, yeah, your daughter told me you was in the hospital. You gotta take care of yourself. I'm like, I am. I'm trying. So then we just start talking. I start telling him all my problems. And it's funny. Let me back up a little bit. The guy I was talking to in Florida, the one that said, oh no, you're not bringing that toxic relationship to me. So one day we was talking. He was like, why are you always talking about your problems? I didn't realize I had so many problems. Like, I had so many. Like, you always talking about your problems. And that's how I know. That's how you know when somebody's for you and when somebody's not. Because somebody's for you, they're going to sit there and listen to your problems, So that's how I know that, he wasn't for me. But I didn't realize it at the time. I just needed somebody. I needed somebody, and I was wrong. I was leaning on the wrong body. Instead of leaning on the body of God, just going into myself, into my own, and just praying to God, I was looking for everything outside of it, the crystals, the tarot cards, you know what I mean? Like, I was just looking for everything outside, but the dating, it just didn't fulfill me. Yeah, so I started telling him all my problems. Even I didn't have a phone. Like, I had a track phone, and this, again, nothing but God. Like, a track phone that came to the house one day, at my other house, the big house, and it was for somebody else. I guess somebody that maybe was renting before I got there. And I didn't have a phone. I didn't have a phone at that time. So I opened up that phone, and I programmed it. Like, I followed the instructions, and it started working. And I started using that track phone. That's crazy. I never had to pay for it. It just stayed with minutes on it. So I had that phone, and so my ex bought me an iPhone. Never had an iPhone before. And he just started sending me some money here and there. And, because I told him I was behind on my rent. And I told him I'm going to have to leave this place. And he was like, you know what? Then leave. He was like, why don't you just come back to New York? But he didn't have a place to stay either. He was living with his mother. That's a whole nother story. But he just came out of prison a year before. So he was still living with his mother, still trying to figure his life out. And but my daughter lived in New York, but she has 3 kids of her own. And I didn't want to bother her or bombard her. But he was like, you know, she has an apartment. Let's go stay with her. Stay on the couch, right? So I'm thinking, well, maybe I could stay with her on the couch, and then the kids can stay with their father, you know, until I get myself together, and then I'll leave. So that was the plan. I spoke to my daughter about it. She was like, okay. So everybody helped get me back to New York. I rented a U-Haul. I sent my daughters on the plane. Me and my son took the U-Haul back, and my children went to their father's house. I went to my daughter's house. I went to my daughter's house, and that was the plan. But I was still talking to my husband at the time. Like, he just kept telling me, come back, come back, come back. So I kept telling him, all right, maybe I'll come back. Maybe I'll come back. So he was under the impression I was coming back, because that's kind of where we left it. I was like, okay, maybe I'll come back. I said, listen, I'm going to send the kids up there to you. I said, I have to come back, but I don't know what I'm going to do. He was like, yeah, just come back. So he's thinking, yeah, you're coming back to me. She's sending the kids up first, and she's coming back to me. So he I send the kids up. A couple of days later, I'm driving the U-Haul or whatever. But before I leave, so the kids are up there, and I'm like, I'm talking to him. And now by this time, I had already made up, and I had already visited my ex in New York earlier that year. Okay, I came back to New York in March. I had visited him in January. Seen him for the first time since 1997, I want to say. This was in 2019. So like 22 years, something like that. Yeah, 1997, something like that, maybe 1990, somewhere around there. I don't know. Yeah, 1997, I want to say, is when he went to prison, or 1996. But I haven't seen him since then. So, we met up with him in New York over the weekend. He took me shopping, things like that. He was really nice to me. So then we made a pact that we're gonna be together. Like, it happened like literally just that fast, that over the weekend, after not being together for over 20 something years. Big mistake again. But anyway, so then I come back to New York. I'm just like, all right, I'm doing it. I'll come back, stay with my daughter, I'll be with my ex, right? And yeah, so I speak to my husband. I call him up. I'm like, listen, I'm coming back to New York, but I'm not coming back to you.